June 18th, 1976. Rancho Cordova, California. 11 at night. A masked man vaults a backyard fence and slips into a house while a couple sleeps. That night marks the beginning of a nightmare that will terrorize an entire state for 3 years and haunt it for 4 decades. He becomes known as the East Area Rapist. Over 50 attacks across Sacramento. He stalks his victims for weeks, memorizing windows, tracing bike routes, sometimes calling the house and just breathing before hanging up. Inside, he ties up couples and stacks dishes on the man's back. So one twitch, one sound, means someone dies. Sacramento panics. Gun sales spike. Guard dogs and new deadbolts appear on every block. And the whole time, police have no idea. The man they can't catch is wearing a badge himself. A sworn police officer named Joseph James DeAngelo. By 1979, the attacks in Sacramento stop cold, and a new killer appears 200 miles south. Ventura, Orange County, Santa Barbara. Same method, same precision. Same ghost-like escape, except now it's murder. 13 people killed in their own homes. Investigators call him the original Night Stalker, never realizing he's the same man. Then, in 1986, he vanishes completely. The case goes cold. Decades pass. Enter Michelle McNamara, a true crime writer who becomes consumed by this case. She spends years in old police files, tracking witnesses, building an online community of amateur sleuths. She's the one who coins the name that finally links both killers as one, the Golden State Killer. But in April 2016, she dies suddenly in her sleep. Her book unfinished. Her team completes it. It publishes in 2018, the same year the killer is finally caught. Investigator Paul Holes tries something no one's used before. In a case this size, he uploads the old crime scene DNA to a public genealogy website. Genetic genealogist Barbara Ray Venter builds out a family tree. Cousins, records 2 centuries old, cemetery documents, until it narrows to one man. A 72-year-old grandfather in Citrus Heights, Joseph James DeAngelo. Police collect his discarded DNA off his car door, out of his trash. It's a match. On the morning of April 24th, 2018, police vehicles arrived quietly on that same peaceful street in Citrus Heights. Joseph James DeAngelo was arrested outside his own home without incident. Neighbors were stunned. This was the same elderly man seen working in his garden every day, who never raised his voice at anyone, whose grandchildren played in front of his house. No one had any idea that this same man had once worn the uniform of the Exeter and Auburn police departments, and that in 1979, he had been fired after being caught shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent spray from a store. For 40 years, he lived as an ordinary citizen, attending church, laughing with his family, showing up at neighborhood gatherings, while hundreds of victims and their families lay awake every night in fear of that unknown shadow, startled by every sound, their hearts stopping at every knock. In 2020, in court, Joseph James DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 murders and multiple kidnapping-related charges, and also admitted to dozens of rapes for which the statute of limitations had already expired. One after another, victims and family members who had stayed silent for decades stood in the courtroom and told their stories, the pain they had carried alone for years, the sleepless nights, the silence they had worn out of fear. The judge sentenced him to multiple consecutive life terms with no possibility of parole. Michelle McNamara, who had dreamed of bringing this truth into the light, did not live to see that day. But it was her book and her relentless search that helped carry this 40-year terror to its final reckoning.